they could show us Shawshank. Is that a thing that you guys talk about as a possibility?
Ding, ding, ding.
Hot damn.
We don't really talk about it. No one does.
So everyone's flipping out about the show because they're like, I need to know everything. And the good news that I have for them is that this, as is typical with what you two do, this is a show for fans.
Yes, because we are fans.
That's the thing every time. And so the first thing I wanted to jump into is Stephen King has always been known for linking properties in ways, but this show takes it to a whole other level. We have a very obvious link to The Shining in this.
Yes.
Yes.
So that we can say that though, right?
Yes.
Oops.
So we can say, like, Dick Hallorann, we all know from the book, or people who read the book know that Dick Hallorann was in the black spot when the black spot was set on fire, and Chris Chalk, who plays Dick Hallorann, who did an incredible job. But Dick Hallorann is an important character in our series, and we.
Leroy Hanlon.
Leroy Hanlon. Leroy is Mike Hanlon's grandfather.
Oh.
Who is Leroy appears in It Chapter 1 as the Mike's grandfather. He has a very tiny part at the beginning. We thought it was only fair and appropriate to tell the story of the Hanlons, how the Hanlons ended up in Derry. Very much is the story of Leroy and Charlotte and Will.
And why they stay.
Right.
And why they stay.
It's a big topic for everyone. One that I feel we're finally addressing also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, is there any talk of, in the future, could we be seeing even more Stephen King stuff? Because in my head, I'm like, they could show us Shawshank. Is that a thing that you guys talk about as a possibility?
Ding, ding, ding.
Hot damn.
Hot damn.
Shawshank is, there's a character that is sent to prison, wrongfully accused, of course, in this world, and is sent to Shawshank. Does he arrive to Shawshank?
Okay.
Maybe he's in Cihuatanejo. Oh.
He was brought to us by your previous colleague that, he was it's funny because if he was in Shawshank at that point of history, he would have met Andy Dufresne and Red. But the question is, does he arrive to Shawshank?
Oh, God.
We have to watch the series for that.
Okay, I want to know. Is there a reason that this was the period of time, even aesthetically, but also with all these intertwining stories, that you two really identified with it? Was that very deliberate?
Well, there's a reason. The first reason is we're telling the story backwards. We're telling a bigger story of the origins of it and the reasons of it in a longer story, and there's a reason why we're telling it backwards. And the first step in that story is going to the previous cycle. Would be 1962.
27 years is the cycle of Pennywise, which is one generation basically, and 27 years before the first movie, which is in 1989, is 1962.
Okay. You're better at math than me, so.
And 62 is curious because it's very close to what in the book. The main story happens in 1958. The kids in the book are living in 1958 in Derry, which is we translated in the movies that to 1989 to the 80s, but we're telling now the prequel in 1962, which is very, very similar to the era where the book tells its story. And it's also very special because not only because the book it draws so much from the textures and feels of the era in the book, but also it's the time where Stephen King was a kid, and so all the passion and all the detail in the descriptions, where it's coming from. It's coming from his childhood. And we try to reflect a little bit of that in the series too.
Also, the imagery, the pilot episode of this, you within the first 5 minutes, you had me going, "What the actual?"
Well,
And
it was
I-
very exciting to us that in '62 it was Cold War,
Yeah.
panic, nuclear panic. People were scared of different things. Not, like not only like the possibility that a nuclear bomb might explode any time, but also the radiation coming from like nuclear tests and birth defects and all these things that were also exploited by movies of the era. All those horror movies from the late '50s.
Sure, some of which are posters on the walls, like it's in your set design, and it's like, oh, I see it every time. But it also reminded me of, I was like, oh wow, we started with Mama. Like that's where we sort of first
Yeah.
became aware of y'all, and I was like,
Yeah.
damn, your parents seem nice. What's your whole thing?
They're really nice. They are really nice.
We grew up in the '80s. I think in the '80s also there was some kind of revival of nuclear panic.
Right.
With,
Well, and now too, almost.
And now
Yeah.
again,
So this is very timely.
it comes back every 20 years, I guess, or 30 years.
Holy
and,
shit, it's like Pennywise. This is...
It's like
It's
Pennywise.
the smell of
mutant.
fascism that suddenly starts,
Well,
Creeping
and
again.
that line, there is nothing that's wrong with this country that can't be solved by what's right with this country. It just gives me chills. I was like,
Well, that's a very like nuanced trait, or like it's the family, the Hanlon family, it's very nuanced because it's it's an African American family which is comprised of Leroy Hanlon, which is an airman who believes in the system, but he's married to Charlotte Hanlon, who is a woman that does not believe in the system. So there's immediately you see that there's already like a dissent or a fracture, like an internal fracture in this family that will play in the story. And Will, who's in the middle of this, it's a very rich version of a family.
But by the time Leroy is in chapter 1 in 1989, he's very disillusioned, clearly, and
And there's a reason why he's in a sheep farm.
yeah.